So it is absolutely safe to say at this point that there are many different actors and or actresses out there at this point that are universally rejected, one of the biggest ones of all being Robert De Niro. Now we know that De Niro and the comments that he displayed when it came to his overall political opinion, being pressed onto the general public, being forced upon the general public, really backfired not just on himself personally, but also on his career and any kind of path that he's trying to make with other studios out there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So many actors out there are trying to go on different programs to either apologize or to share their side of their story or to even double down on their agenda with no regret at all based on their previous comments. And Robert De Niro, well, basically is a prime example of just that, and now how it involves Bill Maher of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. Now, we know that Bill Maher had a falling out with George Clooney, and there's a lot of things going on now between him and Robert De Niro in a very similar fashion. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, one thing about Bill Maher, and I must make this very clear, I'm not a fan of the guy, nor am I a fan of his show, but it seems like he's now trying to play both sides at different points in time just to benefit himself, and basically that's why a lot of people like to say at times that Bill Maher is two-faced or that he's this or that, and a lot of people have, different opinions about the guy. But one thing about Bill Maher that really is very surprising is that he has now basically come to a point where he wants to get rid of any kind of actors and or actresses that want to use his program as a vessel, essentially, to either improve their career or to double down on their rhetoric. Let's get into this. Now, interestingly enough, with, of course, the combination of both the media and Hollywood now in freefall mode, and rightfully so, by the way, due to the extensive backlash from the general public, one major development that is now active involves more to do with both Bill Maher and Robert De Niro in the wake of the film industry now heading into a financial collapse. A substantial update for this situation now involves how Maher made a very big decision in a similar pattern to what happened between him and George Clooney, like I mentioned before, just days ago, where Robert De Niro and those that gather around him who are trying to repair his image failed miserably just recently after Robert De Niro was attempting to land a deal with HBO to appear on Real Time with Bill Maher in 2025 for that schedule at some point to bring forward his political opinion and to use Bill Maher as a vessel to get his point across to the world as a form of a warning about the next 4 years. It turns out that De Niro only wanted to go on Bill Maher to double down on his agenda while his team wanted De Niro to apologize. It turns out that Bill Maher specifically denied and refused to even, of course, allow Robert De Niro on his show, and even labeled De Niro as a travesty to have somebody like him on his show, and handed down those comments over to the producers of Real Time that in turn were directed to De Niro both personally and to his team as well. De Niro reportedly took great offense to Bill Maher's demands and his comments and refusing to let him on the show for 2025. And to make matters worse, get this, for De Niro, Bill Maher is already writing and preparing jokes to be delivered to his viewers on his show for next year for the 2025 season. And even some jokes will go public before the new year drops to take shots at Robert De Niro personally and professionally. Already Bill Maher is blaming Robert De Niro for why they lost and that he played a very large role for losing in 2024 and plans to also take shots at De Niro in that sense. Maher is also planning to really press on those jokes and serious arguments as well about De Niro starting in just a couple of days from now as a tease that will also play a large role on his show in 2025. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about Bill Maher yet again. Now look, I think that we're beginning to see a lot of examples like Bill Maher who you really were on that side of the rhetoric, right? Day in and day out, and now they're basically just using this opportunity by witnessing the turn of the tide to kind of change their ways. That's why I believe that Bill Maher, and, it's okay if you guys criticize me about this, but I do believe that he's very two-faced in very, specific scenarios like this, where at one point you're defending Robert De Niro and George Clooney, and then at the snap of a finger like that, then you want nothing to do with them. We're seeing this through many different media personalities, like Sunny Hostin as a very big example, by the way, of what happened behind the scenes there over at The View via ABC. However, to top things off, alright, after De Niro was, of course, denied to go on Bill Maher's show to bash over half the country again, this was said to be the final nail in the coffin for De Niro's path to getting his point across to the public. There are many internal battles happening right now after the fallout with Bill Maher, as De Niro reportedly looked up to him as a political comedian with serious discussions that now are working against him, and how De Niro is becoming a part of that very thing, something he did not see coming at all, and is already trying to fight the HBO executives and producers to prevent those jokes and arguments going on his show at all, claiming that it would hurt his career by blaming him for the 2024 loss. Seemingly HBO is trying to save itself as well, since Bill Maher is now trying to remain on the fence with some of his opinions out of nowhere, and already rejecting some celebrities as guest hosts of his show. Both Clooney and De Niro were the starting point of all of that by Bill Maher, and De Niro is taking that very personally. So again, I made this very clear minutes ago, not a fan of Bill Maher, not a fan of how he was pretty much hopping on that bandwagon of the rhetoric for a very long time. And now it seems like he's just easing up a bit. I'm not saying that he's, full on turning the tide, but he's easing up a bit now, and you're beginning to see the cracks show. And he really did take the 2024 loss personally. We all saw what he said just a couple of days ago, that he's thinking about quitting in 2025, that he's said all the things that he has said already before, and that he doesn't want to do that again for the next 4 years. So that was a meltdown by Bill Maher, no doubt about it. And this, I think, is another example of that. Do I think it's genuine? Do I think that he really despises Robert De Niro or George Clooney? Who knows at these people, right? I mean, they're going back and forth. They are flip-flopping like crazy to this point where you don't even know what the truth is anymore or what they truly believe in. But I think that this, at the end of the day, is nothing more than to benefit Real Time with Bill Maher, his program on HBO. He's trying to save it. He doesn't want people like Robert De Niro going on there for, spewing all of that nonsense. And look, as much as I am of a critic of Bill Maher, at the very least, he's making a right decision here by calling it quits with George Clooney, Robert De Niro, and just giving them the boot and saying, you're not welcome on the show, and we're going to make jokes about you. We're going to argue about you in 2025. We are going to really call you out for what you said and did throughout all of 2024. So overall, I would like to really hear what everyone has to say about Bill Maher, Robert De Niro, the entire phase right now of what the media and Hollywood are going through. Because there's no doubt about it that they are trying to pretty much reverse their actions of what they, did in, for the past several years, honestly, by blaming the general public, by calling everybody a misogynist or a sexist or all these illogical things that really make no sense, and now they're trying to repair the damage. I think it's nothing more than damage control, to tell you guys the truth. But anyway, I would like to hear what you all have to say about that below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.